I didn't say that.
That's not on the record. The meeting hadn't started yet.
Well, set to go. I mean, you sent out the agenda here.
I did.
Just before we get into this, very heavy rainy day, skylights, leaking or?
It's normal amount of leaking. It's not worse than usual. The good thing is the quantity of rain doesn't seem to make a difference because there's no pooling. So it's just leaking as it runs down the skylight. So it is there, our water feature is in effect today, but it's not worse than any other time. I left a message with the architect this afternoon. I still hadn't heard back from them since they said they would come back to us with a quote. So I'm just gonna hound him until we can get some progression on this.
Okay, parking lot, maintenance one. The main, doing repainting the main and upper part.
So we're doing a little bit of research. We think the last time the parking lot was sealed and striped and painted was in 2021. So it's due, it needs a little work. So we collected price quotes. They're under $10,000, which is good. So when I talk about the parking lots, there's three separate lots. There's the one on the far side across Mercy Care Lane, and that's the overflow parking lot. There's the main parking lot, which is right in front of us, and then the upper parking lot, and they all need different things. So the main parking lot's the easiest one to describe. We need filling, so we need to do a hot fill for any of the potholes or gaps that are in the lot. Once we get it filled, we need to reseal it to prevent damage, and then we need to repaint it, just restriping it. A lot of our lines, especially the really important ones that tell people which way they're supposed to go within the parking lot, are faded. So that's what the main lot needs. The upper lot also needs a hot fill, so filling in any cracks, and it needs a restriping. It does not need a sealing. We don't seal the upper parking lot because it helps with irrigation's not the right word, but water needs to be able to pass through the parking lot. So those items, we got a couple of quotes. They're all around $7,000. So I've told our facilities manager to accept the lowest responsive bidder and get that work taken care of.
Okay. I'm just surprised that, after 2021, I just would have thought it would have lasted longer, but I'm not a party.
You know, and it might have been longer than that. That was Jason's thought was it might have been 2021.
Probably that it would have been done after after the rehab was done and all the construction work was cleared out and, the pandemic was over and people started to come back.
I wish New York would do what California does. They put the water bottles in their roads and their roads are like indestructible. They don't break. So they've asked the New York State, like the State Department to do.
The owner of a blue BMW in the upper parking lot, parked in the upper parking lot, please come to the circulation desk. Again, the owner of a blue BMW that's parked in the upper parking lot, please come to the circulation desk. Thank you.
But they have a way to make the roads they don't break. They don't get potholes in California. They don't get all these issues that we have in New York and other states because they do that.
But
So it's just.
there's got to be a difference between North California and South California. Snow
Yeah.
and bad weather. South, most of California doesn't get a lot of snow. I don't.
No.
Yeah.
But they just, by doing that to the roads, they've proven that the roads don't break. They don't get potholes. They don't have to repave the roads they don't have to repave the roads. So like things like that. And we just don't do that here. So that would save us like so much money.
That'd be helpful.
It would be
right?
helpful, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
You're saying they use plastic?
Yeah, they take the plastic bottles that you would like recycle and they put them in the road next, like when they're making the road and it keeps the road from breaking.
I hope you're right.
So it's just, fascinating, but I just don't, I wish we would do it, because then we would, we wouldn't have to
No,
pay for
They
this.
used to say the roads were paved with gold out there, now they're paved with bottles.
Exactly.
There's gold in them, their bottles.
But they're ahead of us on a lot of things. They do a lot of things that we don't do that are like, that they've proven are good, and it's just frustrating, like, yeah. But like, I get what you're saying though, 2021, that wasn't that long ago, so like, yeah, I'm just surprised too.
Yeah.
But like, do we have money for that, like in the budget? Like,
We have this, we have the reserves.
okay,
But I don't know, to the extent there's a budget line item for dealing with this, one in particular, we're taking out of reserves, I don't know.
okay,
I just gotta ask them.
because I know we have like the skylight too, so.
Yeah, but that definitely is coming out of reserves, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure there wasn't something urgent.
Pete, you're saying that the upper and these two lots, 10K for both of them or each?
For both of them, under 10K. The estimates we got were around 7K.
And is that amount in a budget line item right now?
Yes, yep, we have budget available for it.
Okay, but it's not coming out of like reserves to
No.
stuff.
No, it's coming up operating.
And what needs to be done in the the side lot again?
So the side lot, that's parking lot maintenance 2 in our agenda. That needs all of the above, filling, resealing, repainting. It also needs to be repaved. We started getting price quotes for that, and those are in the tens of thousands of dollars. So I've told Jason to keep soliciting bids, but we're not gonna be able to take that out of operations when we make the decision to repave it. So I want to get a feel for the total cost of the project and then come back to this committee with a recommendation.
Yeah, I walked around that and I personally, compared to the way I run my own house, that's in much better shape than that. So I was looking around saying, what really needs to be done here? But it looks pretty good to me.
It looks okay. Jason hasn't walked me through it to see what he's looking at. I don't think it's urgent.
Yeah.
I think it's the way he framed it was, it's not gonna get better.
Yes. It's not gonna get better. But, I'm open for what the recommendation needs to be on this. I just don't have much experience on evaluating this one way or another. Like I said, it looked good to me. It looked like, if you put the sealant on it, stripes, it would be okay. But whether that's putting a Band-Aid on something that is, just gonna get worse and you're gonna wish you did this other step.
Yeah, and I think part of the question is, like, let's say the cost comes in at, $50,000. Is it going to be $60,000 next year, $70,000 the year after that? Or is it always going to be $50,000? Like, I guess that's my question for the contractors is this project gonna get more expensive if we don't do it? And if they say no, then that's, okay, well, then maybe we wait a little while.
And is it more important to get these two done first?
These are
and
much
then-
more, these
and
are much
then
more
that-
important.
Okay.
Would we do anything with the line, traffic flow pattern on this, given the opportunity to reseal it and repaint it? Is there a recommendation to say that?
Oh, yeah, to change the traffic flow?
I don't, so the way it's actually, it's not even the paving, it's the way we put in the boundaries on this side. I think the only change we could make would be to make that first lane both entrance and exit. But I don't think we can just because of the way the road is shaped. So I don't think there would be, this would be the time to change it if we were going to, but I don't think that's something we need to do right now. And repainting the lines of where people are supposed to go might actually make it easier on our patrons. And before we leave parking lot maintenance to the other thing we're exploring. So Mercy Care Lane, the road that actually comes into the library, the back half of Mercy Care Lane, when you go past the medical centers behind us, the back half is owned by the town of Guilderland. You can actually see the line in the paving where they take care of it. The front half, I had a conversation with Peter Barber about who actually owned it. So he sent me the documentation for who owns Mercy Care Lane. Our front section of Mercy Care is really torn up. Like you guys coming in probably noticed, it's a little bumpy, the ride coming in. I'm not sure whose obligation it is to pave and take care of that. So I've asked our facilities manager to get in touch with Guilderland Public Schools since they technically own the building and get a little context for who's responsible for that maintenance. I think that's actually more urgent than any of the parking lots, but I'm not sure who's supposed to repave it.
Good question. And as you go past the library that way, it's even worse. There's big potholes. And yeah, there's all kinds of like, but I get what you're saying. It is bumpy when you go, yeah.
And it's interesting because, I originally reached out to the town of Guilderland to ask about who plowed that street. And the town will plow it if they're plowing out their section. But I think at the end of the day, it might be someone else's responsibility to plow it as well. So it's just good to get this information of who's responsible for what.
Yeah. That's just like the front part right there, like
Yep.
the,
From Western Avenue until you get past the medical centers.
Okay.
That stretch is the stretch in question.
okay.
And that's all you're saying, you think it's GPL stretch or?
It's not owned by us and it's not owned by the school. So if it's owned by the company that the town or the corporation that the town thinks owns it, that's one thing, but I'm not sure whose responsibility it is to maintain it.
So that the medical places don't own any part of it?
I don't think so unless it's
Okay.
inherent, like if the medical centers don't own their buildings, it might be the property owners for their buildings who own Mercy Care, but I haven't dug that deep yet.
Interesting question.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, they'll debrief, your initial thoughts on that.
Initial thoughts, I give us a solid B. Like, I think there's room, I guess my question will be, if we want to do an annual book sale and if we want to keep improving on this model, then I think there's a lot of things we could do differently to improve it. But this is a good opportunity. We tried it. We've got some statistics. A couple of the data points that I'm looking to gather before I do a full presentation is number of volunteers, number of volunteer hours, number of staff hours that went into the project, the quantity of books that were put out, the quantity of books that were not sold, and the number of guests, the number of customers that we had. Once I have those data points, that'll be a pretty good starting place because then we'll know, okay, it takes this much effort to generate this much activity.
Right.
So we have to decide at that point, do we want to keep doing it this way? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Or do we want to try something else that's less labor intensive that gets us to the same place?
The one thing I was gonna say is I think we definitely need like a shorter donation time because we got so much. So if it's like a month instead of, it's almost 2 months of donation, so like, I think that would, then we wouldn't have as much left over, hopefully, hopefully.
Well, I know,
That's the hard part, but.
so we can get at that from two different directions because we
Yeah.
give you a count of how many books it took to fill the Helderberg room and the Norman Skill room. So we can actually start from that number and we can say, let's say it's 30,000 items. Once we hit 30,000 items, we stop taking donations because we're full. The other way we can approach this is I think we can be stricter on condition. There was
Yes.
a lot of stuff that came through where I was like, I wouldn't have accepted this donation. We could not take mass market paperbacks. We didn't sell hardly any DVDs, music CDs, or LPs. So we could just focus on books and kids' books and make sure we're only accepting high quality donations.
I noticed that when I was doing the days, I found so many things that were not, I even found stuff on the donation shelves that people took out of the box and put it on there. And I'm like, why is this on there? It has mold on it. Like, this needs to be thrown out. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we did a pretty good job
Yeah.
with mold and bugs and
Yeah.
water, which are the
Yeah.
main points. I think the biggest question now just becomes quality. There was a lot of cracked paperbacks, things that just, like, you ask yourself, would I buy
I
this?
picked up a couple that the book fell right out of the casing, so I threw that out. I'm like, we're not gonna put this out, no one's gonna buy this.
Yep.
Some of I tried catching books that were inappropriate too. Like I found in the book sale the other day, I found a Russell Brand book.
Oh,
He's like being accused of sexual assault right now, so I'm like, this is not acceptable to be at the book sale, so I threw it out. So like I tried to catch things like that. We had Mario Batali, the one who got accused of sexual assault too. Somebody gave us like a whole box of his books, so I threw them all out because it's not appropriate.
Probably
Like,
nobody's gonna buy them.
yeah, nobody's gonna buy it. It's not appropriate. So I tried to look for stuff like that too. I was trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a book that had it said the N-word Bible on it.
Oh,
I took that book and threw it away because that's totally inappropriate. I couldn't believe some of the books that people were giving us too. That was another. I'm like, what is this? Like,
so
I can't sell that. Like,
and since this was our first try, I wanted to give a ton of grace and be like, oh, it's a learning experience. But I think the next time we do this, we're gonna have volunteers who've gone through the process before. They're gonna be slightly more experienced, slightly more professionalized. I think giving the volunteers a little more oversight and a little more training will help with the quality. But I, to your point, like of having fewer things, we can approach it from both sides and be like, our goal is this many items and they're all gonna be really high quality.
because I knew that DVDs were gonna be a problem. People were bringing in, I had people that would bring in 4 or 5 full totefuls of DVDs. I'm like, we're not gonna sell all these. Why are you bringing it? Like, there's just too many. People don't use DVDs anymore. That was the problem. People don't. Some people use them, but nowhere near what used to use them. It's the same thing with
California.
CDs. Yeah.
And no, pay,
They'll pave the
no,
road.
turn them into paving gold.
So I'm gonna do a full kind of analysis and then present to the full board on
Yeah.
what I find. But in general, like one, I want to say thank you to both of you and to Tony, who's absent, for coming and helping. We had such a good turnout from our board members. That was really heartening to see, so thank you.
Thanks to this guy for.
Well, you were here more than anybody except maybe me. And that's a maybe.
I counted it, yeah, I was here at least like over the 3 days, it was like 21 or 22 hours or
That's
something
ridiculous.
like that. Like it was a long.
And the most important thing is, like, we talked about this a little bit. I took the absence of negativity as a positive. There were a handful of people who were dissatisfied, but for the most part, people were either gushingly positive
Yeah.
or this was just normal. They were like, oh, it's a book sale. And that,
You could tell how happy everyone was especially when I'm doing the cash register, they were just happy.
Mhm.
I mean, they were giving us a lot of what they did too, is they gave us donations where we didn't give them their change back. They said, keep it for the library.
Love
So we
that.
got extra money for the library that was donated to the library. That was great. And the other people, the other volunteers were like, Mike, can we do that? I'm like, yeah, we can do that. They're giving a donation. So it's okay, like, yeah, but we have to give them their change back. It's gonna throw the count off. I'm like, no, it's a donation. It's gonna increase our profits. So
Or something. Yeah, and even.
Messaging was a little bit of a challenge. I think some people understood the rules of preview night and bag sale really easily. Some people found it confusing and didn't like it. Well, some people found it confusing and some people didn't like it. So on preview night, we had a handful of people who didn't realize that there was a cover charge and that they could only buy 10 books. The flip side of that was we had one family who came up with 40 books and we said, oh, I'm sorry, it's a 10 item limit. They started calling other family members and like, hey, come down here so we can buy these books. So like there was a push and a pull. Bag day, the messaging was tough because what we're essentially saying is $10 gets you the bag and then you fill the bag with as many books and items as you can. And people found that a little bit confusing. We had a handful of people who were like, I don't want a bag, I just want to shop. The purpose of bag day is to try to minimize the stuff we have to carry. So if we got people who were like, I really don't want a bag, then we would say, well, then go in and look. And if you find something, we'll sell it to you.
yeah, I thought that was fairly easy to understand. I'm surprised that people.
Well, we're library people, and I think
Okay.
bag day is common knowledge to us. I think
Yeah.
that people who are just like, oh, I'm just coming to the book sale, found it like, you had to explain it to them, and then they were like, oh, I get it.
I only had one person in the one room say like she was mad the first night that we had to pay. I'm like, well, it's a preview night. You have to pay tonight. But I'm like, if you come tomorrow or Sunday, you don't have to pay. So she came back like on Saturday.
Yeah.
So she still came back and bought a lot of stuff. So it didn't deter her that much. She still came back and bought stuff with her kids. So,
And
so I mean, like.
the biggest
so-
part of preview night, like, one of the things that I would do differently next time is I would still do preview night because one of the scourges of a book sale is that you get big vendors who come in and want to buy everything on the first night, and then the community doesn't get a chance to see it. But preview night rather, we had not just the entry fee, but we also had the 10-item maximum. I think the 10-item maximum does a better job of dissuading big vendors because they know, oh, I can't walk out with 100 items.
Yeah.
So I might reduce the preview night charge from $10 to $5, or I might eliminate it and keep the limit.
And I broke it the first night because that guy wanted to buy all the records and he had more than 10, but he wanted to buy all the records. So I'm like, that's why we went and asked you, like,
Yeah,
because we didn't want to give up that chance because what if nobody else bought the records? They'd all be sitting there. I'm sorry about that for trying to.
no. These things happen every book sale.
Yeah.
And we were also on the fence about whether or not we were gonna take records, CDs and DVDs. And I think next time we just won't take them.
Yeah.
Because we had a guy that came on the bag sale day and he bought all the CDs. Thank God he bought all the CDs because we would have had thousands of CDs.
Yep.
One box, a Christmas box, had hundreds of CDs of Christmas CDs in it. Nobody was buying them really. He bought all of them. I'm like, thank God you were here because like, then we would have to.
We'd be packing them back up. You and I would be
Yeah.
in there lifting them right now.
Exactly. But I kind of had a feeling that would happen because so many people are just not using those as much as they would used to. So like, it's just,
It's a dead medium.
they're still using books. They still come to the library all the time to get books. So books are a thing that they're always going to come for.
Who's our friend, Ray? Comes to-
Yeah.
Was he there?
He was there Saturday and Sunday.
Did we happy or?
It's hard to tell,
Yeah.
but didn't seem mad.
I was actually looking for him. I didn't see him.
I saw him a couple
Okay.
times.
Okay, plants and greenery.
Mike and I met with, was it Linda from the Garden Club?
Yes.
Do you wanna, it was a good conversation, I thought.
It's a really good conversation. She wants to do more with the library, so she wants to use the library to like advertise their programs, which we're okay with doing because we can collaborate. And then she's interested in having some of the Garden Club programs here. So to have the programs here, and she's gonna get, they get free flowers from Trader Joe's.
Mhm.
So she's gonna give us a bouquet every month. And then they're gonna give us some plants. They're gonna reach out May 12th again at their next meeting and see if they can get more people to donate plants. And they said that they'll take care of them as long as we get like a plant stand or something to put on it, but they'll come in and take care of them, so. And I have Gade Farm that is donating plants to me too.
Mhm.
So I will see if they will take care of them. If they won't take care of them, I might take care of them. It's not that hard. They're only giving me like 5 plants or something, but I'll, but if the garden club would be willing to do those too, then we wouldn't have to do anything, so. Like, that was. But Gate Farm has them for me. I just have to go pick them up, but,
Perfect.
so that's
And,
another.
They would be in like bowls or hanging things or?
We're trying to get them, it seems like most of, like, we don't want to put them on the shelves, right? Yeah, so they're gonna have to be like on a plant stand or on a table or some kind of thing to hold them. Or they could, he was saying there's a spot they could hang on the wall too, right? You have
We
to-
could, that would be a
Yeah,
little
that-
more work, because we'd have to
Okay.
drill something into the wall, but
Okay.
theoretically we can, because we get a
Yeah.
lot of natural light along the one side, so it's a good plant spot.
So we could do something like that too, we could hang it up on but if you put it on the bookcase, it could leak into the books or something.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
You said a bouquet from Trader Joe's, what would that be? What do you, what?
Like a
Flower.
like a vase with like flowers in it. They'll make like an arrangement for us and they'll drop it off to us and we can set it up like on one of the circulation desks or.
One service
That's
points.
pretty.
Yeah. I thought that was really nice. So she's very gung ho about it. She wants to work with us. She wants to do things. She wants to do programs here. So it's good. Like I was trying to open that door because she had tried to do stuff years ago with the previous director nothing really happened. So she's like, I got disappointed that they didn't follow through or didn't. I'm like, well, we'll follow through as long as, you know, we'll try to get you to come in and everything. So she's talking to the people in the garden club to see what programs they can do here. You know, and she wants to really use the library to help advertise her programs, which is fine because we can do that. Like, you know, and Pete put her in contact with Amy and the marketing person,
Yeah, Caroline.
Caroline, yeah. So,
Do we need to,
yeah.
do we need to get something in writing with them? I don't want to sort of say we do. I don't know, do we know enough, or if that's too formal, stiff arm at the beginning, just.
So we do want an agreement. We would want some sort of MOA, even if it's really one sheet of paper that says, this is what we're agreeing to do. They might find it too formal, but it's kind of just a best practice. You know, we should have MOAs with all of our service partners.
Yeah.
She had some good ideas. They have like a brochure they make for their programs, and she wanted like a student to put their art on it. So she wanted us to help out with that maybe. And they have like a garage sale they do, so we could advertise that for her. And like, they want to do like stuff with, kind of use us, but they'll come here and do stuff with us too. So
They're-
kind of like they're
looking for a signal boost.
Yeah,
You know,
'cause
we
they
have
have
a
trouble
broader
with it.
reach than they do.
Yeah, they have trouble with some of that. It seems like she's like, you know, getting the marketing out there and stuff. So if we can market for them and it draws people to come to the library too, you know, it's a win-win. You know, and both ends.
Who's gonna come up with the ideas, what we need, what in writing? You, them, or?
It will be, I'll actually have the lawyer do it. It's part of our portfolio of services, and it is a legal document, regardless of how simple it is. So it'll be me in conjunction with Aaron.
And I think they would be okay with that, something like that, because they already said like in writing and emails multiple times, we'll take care of the plan. So I don't think they're gonna give too much of a fuss if we give them some kind of
Yeah, like an actual document. Like,
document. I think they'll be okay with that
Yeah.
because they seem to want the partnership, so.
and it's one of those things that like, if we get them to agree to take care of the plants that the farm donates to us, we would want that commitment, you know, in writing, so, you know, later they wouldn't be like, well, we're only gonna take care of the plants that we gave you,
Yeah.
you know?
It was so funny when I went to Gate Farm though, because the library, I think Jason or other people in the library have been reaching out about outside. And they're like, well, we already have somebody from the library asking us for plants outside. I'm like, I don't want plants outside. I want plants inside. Why do you want them inside? Because we want to make the library look better and we're trying to decorate it. Oh, okay, we can do that. So I had to explain like why the ones we're ordering it for outside. I'm like, they want it for outside to make the outside look better, but we want to make the inside look, have more greenery and stuff. Oh, okay. So it was just funny. I got like the third degree from them. Why are multiple people from Guilderland Library reaching out to us? I'm like, because there's different people that do different jobs. And that was the funniest thing with the garden lady. She came in and was asking the librarians, where are we going to put the plants? They don't know. It's not the librarians doing it. It's the trustees and the director and the administrative team. That's who's doing it. So I told her that. And she's like, oh, that makes sense. But she was in here like asking every single librarian, where are we putting the plants? And they had no idea.
They're
Like,
like, what are you talking about?
yeah, what are you talking about? Like, because they don't know. They're not the ones doing it. So like, once I explained it, she was okay with like.
Okay, then the art, yeah, I think the art that was, the Helderberg room was on display.
Is ridiculously good. Like the high school art that's in there right now is just fantastic.
Some of them, you know, the mobile, the 3D stuff that's hanging is of note too, but, you know, some of that stuff down by the fish tank.
Well, you know, we've got the jellyfish in there now. We've got the jellyfish painting. I'm like, oh, it's all thematically coming together. And that I have not forgotten, we do just need to make progress on the, whatever the agreement is for the waiver for giving us art to hang in the library. It's funny because we, you know, doing the book sale in the Helderberg room, I had to be very conscientious of protecting the student art, keeping the bookcases away from the wall to make sure nothing got damaged. We made it through unscathed. Everyone's art's in one piece, but it just reiterates the importance of having that waiver just in case, you know, somebody's art gets damaged. I would be heartbroken if it was preventable, but it does just need to be the understanding with the donor that we can't control everything that happens in the library.
On April 29th, I met with the high school art teachers, so a lot of them, I got their emails, they're gonna send me student art.
Great.
So they're gonna filter that. I have an elementary teacher that's gonna send art too, so.
Do you happen
So-
to know, or is it, because we deal with some of the art teachers for the art show, is it the same folks that you're talking to? Do you happen to know?
Yeah,
Okay.
so she had me come in the day they were setting up.
Okay.
So I could meet with them and talk with them about what I wanted to do in the library. She thought it'd be better to be like in person, like get a chance to meet them.
Yeah,
So I was trying to build the relationship with them so they'll give us our stuff and be willing to, continuously do it
Mhm.
over the years. So I want to build those relationships so we have strong donation
Yep.
ways to get donations and so we can filter and we can have different people's art. We don't want to keep the same art up all the time. So if we have multiple teachers that want to keep donating art, we'll have a steady flow of, so I'm trying to build that up. So,
love that.
yeah, so I do a lot of hands-on stuff. I try to.
About the
Yeah.
banners for there, the mural for back there.
So the mural, they're working on it. They want us, I'm trying to get, so Arlene's, it's a local art store. They're willing to donate a canvas for it.
Oh, wow.
So I'm gonna get the canvas and then they're gonna paint it. They want to do a scene from Taos at the Park. And then they're willing to work on banners too. So we got multiple, so we got lots of, but I'm trying to get a canvas because they're like, can the library buy a canvas? I'm like, I don't know if we can buy it, but I'll get someone to donate it and then you can paint on it. They're like, okay, that works. I'm like,
Do you know offhand how much they cost? Like, work?
The ones they were looking at weren't that much. They sent me one from Michael's. I called Michael's first, trying to get a donation. They're like, we don't do donations. We can give you a discount. But the canvas they wanted was only $35. It wasn't that much. It was a
Okay.
smaller canvas. It wasn't a huge canvas or something. The higher up you go, the more expensive they get.
Sure.
But they want to paint whatever they're painting the mural on. They want to put it on something that we can mount up on the wall. They don't want to paint on the wall. I'm like, yeah, we don't want you to paint on the wall. So that's perfect. So it's something we can remove. And then if someone else wants to make something, we can put a new one up. But they've been sending me mock-ups and they keep making different things. And so I'm just trying to get the canvas for them so they can paint it. So,
You do, love that.
yeah.
And then,
So that's.
and then for mounting it, this is probably a conversation we should have with our facilities coordinator, but I
Okay.
don't think it's impossible for us to mount it. We just need to know what the level of work would be, like
Okay.
how much. So any
Yeah.
information you have, send it my way.
Okay. But the canvases they were picking out were not huge. They're not I don't think they'd be too hard to mount. The dimensions were not,
Yeah.
it's not gonna take up the whole wall or
Right.
something. It's gonna be a small part of the wall. I think the canvas was probably about maybe that big,
Size and screen.
the size of the screen maybe. So it's not huge. It's not
But yeah, no, flat screen TV size. That's not unwieldy. I was thinking if it's the size of the entire blank spot up there, that might be a little
Oh,
challenging.
no, nothing like that. More like a smaller, because it's three high school kids that are doing it, so.
Love that.
Yeah. But that was all from building that relationship with the art director of Gilliland. So she's the director of the art program and she has really helped me reach out to and you always have to go from the top. I don't get when people try to go for the art teachers first. You got to go to the administrative level to get them to help you reach out to the teachers. And then you can get, you don't start from the bottom, Elise said that they asked one teacher and the teacher said no, so they gave up. Well, you can't just give up after one. That's why you have to start with the top.
There's art to dealing with art teachers.
Yeah, apparently. And most of them seem open to it. You just have to talk to them about it. And then they were open to doing it.
Mhm.
So you just had to get that conversation going.
Love it.
But-
Last thing we have here is signage.
Yep. So just a brief note, the same company that made the signs that are above self-checkout and checkout are directional signs. We priced out and bought signage for above the Taos Center room because that currently has no signage. And then additional signage for normal skill. I think one entrance has a sign, but now we're gonna get one for the other one. Because that'll be helpful, because as we're using Norman Skill more often, people don't know what it's called or where it is. And Towson has always been a challenge. We don't typically do a lot of public programming in here, but when we do, we say, oh, it's in the Tower Center room, and people go. Yeah, so that will actually be installed this Friday. They're coming this Friday morning, May 9th.
Are we still gonna try to present the Norman Skill Room as like the space where we do multiple things? Because we got that email from Corey again about the one person who wanted a cafe again, so like that came up again, I'm like, so it just keeps coming up, we get like one random person that says, I want the cafe, or I want the.
I think we need to keep, like, I don't think we're ready as a board to have the cafe conversation a definitive one. But
Okay.
until that time, I would like to start offering it as a program space, as
Yeah.
a meeting space.
Yeah.
So once it's labeled and once the book sale has been entirely cleaned out from it, then yeah, we're gonna start activating
A
it.
lot of the student volunteers were talking about, they want what you were saying, to have like a study space.
Mhm.
So we had that one volunteer you introduced me to, he was saying, can this be a study space where we can sit by the window? I'm like, yeah, that's one of the ideas we have.
Yep.
You're right on the mark. So, but he's like, yeah, me and my friends would like to come in here and study and sit by the window. So I'm like, well, there you go. There's another way we can use the room, like.
Well, and
in a
the most
positive-
important thing to me is that the space be multi-purpose.
Yeah.
Because we're not big enough to have committed spaces for one thing. So flexibility, could it be a
Yeah.
study space? Could it be a book discussion group space? Could be all of these things, but we just have to make it flexible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But then at least it's being used. Everyone's complaining it's not being used for the cafe. Well, if we're using it for study space and meeting rooms and events and all these things, it's being used. So you can't say that.
Diehards who want a cafe. There's always gonna be, you're just not gonna get rid of it. You're just not gonna get, the people who will voice a comment will be the people who really wanted it, but those are onesie twosies. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think amongst the board, when Mike finally finishes up the postmortem, I think that's gonna force a discussion amongst the board of what practical result needs to be on that.
Nope, I agree, but in the meantime, it's too good of a space to leave empty. So,
So, you're the director, so you use it empty space and, nothing's permanent, so.
A lot of the volunteers were talking about making it a book nook and putting all the books back in there and selling it. I'm like, I don't think we want to use it just for that. Like
We
that's very.
we don't want that to be its only purpose.
Yeah, they wanted it. They're like, just fill the whole room up with books. I'm like, no, I don't think we.
Well, that's what they're focused on. They're focused on.
Yeah.
Program is just so much more organized than ours, and their volunteer commitment for both their version of a cafe and their version of the bookstore. You know. But
I think their version of the bookstore is aspirational for us, but we're years away. We're only just now building up our volunteer base.
and did Corey get the contract signed with Scott Avery?
No, I'm actually sending him the copy this week to sign. Once he signs it, Corey can countersign. We're good to go.
Any word from him at all?
No, he and I had touched base last week to talk about the contract and to talk about, he's interested in doing some sort of ribbon cutting. I'll present that to the full board. My suggestion was if he wanted to do a ribbon cutting, to do it on a Sunday, which is when the farmer's market actually happens. His concern was if we do a ribbon cutting and we try to get elected officials here to cut the ribbon, they're not gonna wanna come on a Sunday in theory. But I don't see a point in cutting a ribbon when the farmer's market's not happening.
Right.
Like, congratulations, we cut it, now come in and enjoy our parking lot.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it merits some discussion. I don't hate the idea of doing some sort of ceremony to kick off the season. I just would want to do it
Yeah.
at an appropriate time.
And with the farmer's market, are we still gonna have a table where we sell books? Are we still gonna do it like that? Or how are we gonna like?
I think that's worthy of a board discussion. I cannot staff it with staff. I don't have
Okay.
the staff available to do it. If the board feels strongly and they would like to do it, then I'm willing to work with you all on that, with the caveat that I will not be working every Sunday.
Right, but it's just, there's only 9 board members. Too long of a Sunday, too many of them.
Yeah, I'm willing, like I said, I'm willing to entertain the discussion, but that is actually the type of thing that I would assign to a friends group So again, it's something we're building towards.
Okay.
I think it might be, again, it's too much for me for this summer.
I didn't mind helping out. That's why I'm asking about it. Yeah, I didn't mind.
But I wouldn't want to put that commitment on you either. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to make that now it's all of your Sundays.
You know, there's, the Sundays of summer here are just so few,
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
every one of them's precious after the crap we gotta go through, what we invested in here.
Exactly. But the good thing is, this summer might be too soon, but we did, if we had 100+ volunteers who offered to work the book sale,
Yeah.
I would say 10% of them expressed an interest in doing more, like I'll work weekly, I'll work monthly, like they were looking for outlets. So that's the kind of thing that in the future, there's a base for it.
A lot of the volunteers are very like hardworking and we had some really good ones. Just, yeah, like it was. Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Oh, that's it for me.
All the groundskeeping around the transition to spring, summer is fully in place.
Yeah, we got a mulch delivery in the parking lot, so Jason's remulching portions of the grounds. But yeah, we're in earnest.
How about the out back, where the Adirondack chairs are? Is that getting much use or?
We've been opening the literary garden a couple of times when the weather's nicer than it is now. It really doesn't start getting fully used by our staff until summer reading starts. But the month of May and June, we'll see it open more to patrons. So yeah, it's starting to pick up a little bit.
How about the shelter up there? That shelter out where the cafe was, that?
I see people eating there sometimes. Yeah, it's not heavily used, but it does get traction.
I see groups of people like meeting out there sometimes, like they're all at the table. Like, I don't know what they're doing, like, but. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't have any vote, nothing we need to vote on.
Nothing for us to vote on and nothing to take to the board to vote on. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.